Put the mic on the right setting and actually plug it in this time. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that was awful. Good morning, everyone. It's dreary Thursday. It's nothing but rain outside. I wanted to talk about the history of the Texans, just like the trades that Bill O'Brien made before he dipped or got fired, why that built up the Dolphins, like why that makes the Dolphins so good this year, and how you should never trade like Bill We're going to start out by looking at Bill O'Brien's trades when he was with the Texans, because I've one big central question today, and that's, why is nobody, not a single person, drafting Tyrod Taylor? I've done like 40, maybe close to 50-ish drafts on Underdog. That means that's like an 18-round draft with 12 people, which means that like 200 players go off the board. And I don't think I've seen Tyrod Taylor get drafted once. Now, there was a point in which people... Let me put it like this. The point of fantasy football is to not be on the hype. It's to be a step ahead of the hype. People, the only place that people are mentally is, and the only thing you'll see about the Deshaun Watson situation is buy low. He probably won't play this year, but this is the NFL. He'll play long term. So if you can get him for cheap, he's a fantastic quarterback. I whatever to that perspective. If that's what you want to do with Deshaun Watson, then obviously that's something you can do with your team. But the consensus is that he is not playing this year. Like, Deshaun Watson, let's be real, all right? Let's be 100% about this. Deshaun Watson has 30 accusers. One of them has gone public. The number's only gone up as time has gone on. They all have similar, if not the same story. It makes no sense that he's making $100 million and he's reaching out to people on Instagram, people that don't massage people, and asking them to massage him. When you have 30 plus accusers, maybe you could have played in the NFL like 10 or 15 years ago. But at the very least, there's zero possibility of Deshaun Watson playing this year. I would put it at an absolute zero. It would be an awful look for the NFL. I can like literally imagine Deshaun Watson playing through the first 3 games and hearing like an increasing outroar from people that don't watch football about what's going on in the NFL. Like, there's no way that he can possibly play this season, or I think relatively soon, but there are a lot of people out there that think that this is not something that will last. The criminal investigation on Deshaun Watson just began about last week. That was not something that had been happening up to like months prior, because they had all been civil cases. So now, where are the Houston Texans at? Because let's go there. The Texans are in competition for the worst team in the league with the Lions, because they have 0 weapons. They're not going to have Deshaun Watson this year, and so my point and why I'm asking, like, why is nobody talking about Tyrod Taylor? The only quarterback behind Tyrod right now is Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley is not competition. Tyrod was traded to become the starter by the new administration, new staff post Bill O'Brien firing. So he is the fail-safe if Deshaun Watson doesn't play. So if I am right and Deshaun Watson doesn't see a single snap this season, then Tyrod Taylor is a starting quarterback in the NFL that literally doesn't get drafted. He has some bad energy associated with him because he got replaced by 2 rookie quarterbacks for the past 2 years. His stats have teetered off a little bit, but I also think those situations weren't fair to Tyrod in the first place. I mean, when he was in Cleveland, he was going against the number 1 pick overall. Even if he played his heart out, there was no way that Baker wasn't going to see the field sometime, like he was going to get replaced. And then when he lost his job to Justin Herbert, the number 4 pick overall in the draft last year, it was because a doctor had punctured his lungs on the second game of the year, not because he had played poorly. So Tyrod is not the greatest quarterback. He's not a top 10, probably even a top 15 quarterback. But he is a quarterback, and it's surprising to me that in best ball formats, especially ones that go 18 rounds deep, or even in dynasty startup drafts in which I'm drafting, Tyrod isn't really known, mentioned, thought about, goes way after all of... He goes in like the backup quarterback range, and that doesn't really make sense to me because everybody is in consensus that, at least to my understanding, that Deshaun Watson's not going to be playing this year. He should probably be going in the Jared Goff range and not the Mitchell Trubisky range, because Mitchell Trubisky is only going to see the field if Josh Allen gets hurt and Jared Goff is a starting quarterback. So anyways, I wanted to move on into the trades made under Bill O'Brien, why the Texans are so bad, like how they got to this point. To people that don't watch football or don't or whatever. So Bill O'Brien was the coach and the GM of the Texans, which meant that he got to decide what trades happened as well as what personnel were run and who's starting every week. So he had basically total control over the Texans organization. The first trade he made was a 2020 third for Duke Johnson. It's kind of a bad trade, but whatever. The second trade, and this kind of happens in dynasty leagues, I think this is when everybody's interest around the league peaked, and they're like, oh, I think I can get a deal here. He traded their former number 1 pick. He traded the former number 1 overall pick of the 2014 draft, Jadeveon Clowney, to the Seahawks for Jacob Martin, Barkevious Mingo, and a 2020 third. And then after that, he made a gigantic trade with the Dolphins, where he traded, and this is the famous one, a 2020 first, a 2021 first, a 2021 second, a cornerback, an offensive tackle for Laremy Tunsil, and a 4th. So he wanted to go out and get Laremy Tunsil and leverage their entire future on it. It's just giving up his entire life for it. And then you'll notice in the 2 previous trades, he got a 3rd and a 4th, both of which were traded later in later trades. So the trade he made after trading an offensive tackle for an offensive tackle and giving up his first round pick in next year and the year after that, and then giving up his next 2 years first round draft picks, he traded a 6 for a player you don't know because I don't know them. They're a special teams person, to New England. Then after that, they traded an offensive tackle for Carlos Hyde, which is their second running back that they've traded for so far. Then they traded the 3rd that they got from Jadeveon Clowney for Gaveon Conley, who I think is a cornerback. And then after that, the one that shocked the whole world, they traded Hopkins and a 4th for David Johnson, a 2020 second, and a 2021 4th. In last year's draft, they gave up a 6, 2 thirds, a 2nd, and a 1st, and they gave up a 2nd and a 1st in this year's draft, plus DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney, 2 offensive tackles, and a cornerback for David Johnson, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde, so that's 3 running backs, all of which are old and not that good. Brandon Cooks, who's their wide receiver 1 now. Laremy Tunsil, their best offensive tackle now. And a 2020 second and a 2021 fourth. Deshaun Watson has nothing to work with even if he does play. This team is in shambles. There's no way that, and before all of this drama even happened, before it came out that Deshaun Watson was an abuser, he was saying to the world that he was going to hold out the season if he doesn't get traded. So if he's not going to play, even if he can play, and he's not going to play if he can't play, why the fuck are you drafting him? There's a famous story about a place that sold jewelry. I forget what you call those places. A jeweler? I don't know. An engagement store? Whatever. Everybody in the town knew that they sold fake jewels, right? Everybody joked about it. It was a big cultural thing around the town. And then the CEO of the whole thing told everybody that the jewels were fake, and they went out of business. Everybody knows that Deshaun Watson is not playing this season. But as soon as the news comes out that he's not playing this season, then people are going to realize, oh, I should be picking up Tyrod Taylor, and he's not going to go undrafted. So for the next, month, 3 weeks, you have the ability to actually pick up a quarterback that will be playing instead of picking Deshaun Watson in the 9th or 10th round because you think that's a value, even though that makes no sense in the world. Do not draft Deshaun Watson. Do draft Tyrod Taylor. Next subject. The Dolphins. People have been doubting Tua because he played last season. If you actually average out his stats through a 16-game pace, because he only played 8 games of the season, he had an average season. He wasn't bad. They just added Will Fuller, the number 1 target from the Houston Texans, and they got a 2020 first, a 2021 first, and a 2021 second. I'm pretty sure the first that they got, no, I think that was because they were terrible. Never mind. They have the 12th overall and the 25th overall pick in the draft this year, which means they have even more chances this year and next year to add weapons around Tua. They already have a great defense. So even if they add defensive pieces, it's just still going to help out Tua. I'm saying all of this to say Tua is the next Josh Allen. Now, everybody's going to act like, oh, I always loved Josh Allen. He was always my dynasty quarterback, too. Last year, I got him in like the 11th round of a couple fantasy football drafts. Everybody disliked him because he was inaccurate, because he wasn't accurate. But the Bills organization built around Josh Allen by getting Stephon Diggs in free agency and building around him in subsequent drafts. And now he's great. Excuse me. When an organization believes in a quarterback and builds around a quarterback, we need to understand or recognize that as a sign that a quarterback is more likely to take a leap from year 1 to year 2. I assume that the Dolphins add at least one offensive weapon to help Tua in this draft, which means, and I assume it'll be a wide receiver, but even if it's not, their wide receiver core is already pretty good right now with Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, and Will Fuller. If my current mock draft, the one I'm going to put out soon, is correct, and the Dolphins get Kyle Pitts, that's even more stonks up for Tua. So I think Tua is heavily doubted, and to a point that you should be taking him in Dynasty as much as possible. Like, forget redraft. Tua is the game stock of quarterback stocks. You need to invest as quickly as possible before the Rockets take off, because there's just no way that the people that keep shorting Tua are gonna end up on top. It makes no sense that there was a ton of talk about the Dolphins trading Tua. They didn't. There was a ton of talk about the Dolphins moving on from Tua at this point next year. They probably won't. They just drafted Tua with the 3rd overall pick last year. They got rid of Ryan Fitzpatrick. A lot of people thought it was messed up. He's a starting quarterback somewhere else. If they didn't want Tua, if they didn't think he was ready, they would keep playing Ryan Fitzpatrick. They've obviously dedicated their franchise to Tua Tagovailoa. So, invest. If there's anything else that you want me to make a video about, there's something you're curious my opinion about, whatever, leave a comment down below. Otherwise, you can join the Discord. We got a free Discord up where we're scheming like the villains we are about DFS, fantasy football. You can ask me whatever questions you want. But until then, make better trades than Bill O'Brien in Dynasty, and kick, toss, catch.